Om Swastiastu. Good evening, everyone. Hello. My name is Ibu Surya Wiguna, and I'm with my two friends, Novitayanti and Nyoman Ulandari will present about classroom management for young learners. So, for the first material is presented by Nyoman Ulandari.
Om Swastiastu, I would like to say thank you for watching our presentation. In this opportunity, I would like to present classroom management. First, I will explain about what is classroom management. Classroom management is considered an essential part of the teaching and learning process. It refers to the method, strategies, and skill teacher use to maintain a classroom environment that result in a student learning success. Classroom management is connected to a process of organizing and conducting a class that includes time management, student environment, student engagement, and classroom communication. Ken University 2009 research concludes the following. Classroom management as applied to teaching involves everything that a teacher must do to carry out his or her teaching objective. It includes preparation of plan and material, structuring of activities into time blocks, direct teaching of skill and subject matter, the grouping of pupil to provide for the most efficient use of teacher and pupil time, plans for transition period changing from one activity to another or from one place to another, pupil involvement and motivation, and adequate control of pupil behavior. Classroom management para 1. Taken together, classroom management can be expressed simply the anticipation of possible problem. Classroom management is so important. You might have assumed that classroom management is important purely because it keeps students in line. But after you've been teaching for more than a few months, you begin to realize it has importance beyond discipline and crowd control. Activities don't run themselves. Classrooms are beginning to embrace student-centered learning strategies, activities that let students learn independently in hands-on innovation ways. But these activities don't just happen without careful classroom management. The more elaborate they are, the more they request strategies like giving clear and concise instruction, scaffolding text with regular check for understanding, constant monitoring while students work independently, pacing learning activities, intervening when signs of confusion or misunderstanding are noticed. Without these strategies, even the most carefully planned activity carried out by the most well-behaved class can quickly become a confusing mess. And that when behavioral problems will start to surface.
Om Swastiastu. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ibu Surya. So now I will be present about classroom management creates a safe and healthy class culture. So why classroom management is can make create a safe and healthy class culture is the one of the goal of classroom management is not just to run a successful lesson. It is to create a safe and healthy learning environment. This means that the most classroom management strategies have very little to do with behavior. Instead, your action designed to make the students feel comfortable and respected. It can be as simple as greeting students at the door, using names while he or she calling his friends, lightening the mood with humor, opening up and sharing personal anecdotes or jokes. If you do these things regularly, you won't have to deal with challenging behavior help as often. Students will come to see your class as a positive space where they can get comfortable and feel safe learning. Okay, classroom management strategies prepare for you for when things don't go as clear as your plan, and sometimes your best lesson plans will go out the window. All it takes is one technical mishap or realizations that activity simply isn't working, and things come to a grinding halt. Moments like this are a critical juncture. Either you quickly adapt to the situation, or your students' attention disappears. So, classroom management skills allow you to get things back on the track by using a 2-minute activity, such as a think per se to keep students engaged as you fix a problem, clarifying instruction to minimize confusion, changing up activity to accommodate unforeseen conditions like uneven numbers, changing group arrangement or setting plans to ensure students work together productively. Remember, Murphy laws, if something can go wrong, it probably will. So hone your classroom management strategies to stay prepared and planned. Effective classroom managers are less likely to burn out. Classroom management also means self-preservation. Teaching takes up a lot of energy, and if you're investing all yours into fighting a losing battle as time you enter the classroom, you will not last long. But if you can manage your classroom smoothly and painlessly, teaching becomes a sustainable process. Instead of collapsing in a heap once you get home, you've got the energy you need to tackle your marking and plan tomorrow lessons. Switching off at the end of the day is also easier when you're not exhausted or dreading another difficult class. You'll be able to take some time to yourself and truly enjoy it. And that's the biggest secret to making teaching sustainable and fun. Okay, that was my presentation. So the next presentation will be Novitayanti. Thank you.
Om Swastiastu. Hello everyone, my name is Luh Putu Novitayanti. Today I will continue bring material about classroom management objective 5. The purpose of classroom management is essentially contained in the goals of education in general. According to Sudirman Sunaningsih, The purpose of classroom management is to provide facility for various student learning activities in the social, emotional, and intellectual environment in the classroom. The facility provided allows students to study and work, create a social atmosphere that gives satisfaction, an atmosphere of discipline, intellectual, emotional, and attitude development and appreciation of students. Okay, next will be described in detail the objectives of classroom management. The first, realizing classroom conditions taught as a learning environment and a study group which allows students to develop their abilities to the maximum extent possible. And the next, eliminate various obstacles that can hinder the realization of learning interaction. Provide and arrange learning facility and furniture that support and enable students to learn according to social, emotional, and intellectual student environment of students in learning. And the last, fostering and guiding students according to their social, economic, cultural, and individual characteristics. According to Yao Tung, the objectives of classroom management are avoid things that interfere with the learning process, help students spend more time studying and less time on non-goal-oriented activities, and the last, prevent students from experiencing academic and emotional problems. Okay, now I will give you tips for classroom management with young learners. The first, let your student move. Kids have to move, so the trend for many years has been to keep students seated behind desks for the majority of their day. Recent even are bringing that idea into question. Schools are finding that more research actually improves the student learning rather than hindering it, and that more time behind desks is not necessarily productive. Letting students move at school is not a new concept. Note, educator Dr. Maria Montessori believed that children could not learn unless they were moving, and she developed an educational system based on that idea. That's not to say your classroom has to be just like hers. It won't be. But if you want to give your young students the best learning experience they can have, you will have to let them move. Movement can be more than just going out for recess. You can let students move around the classroom and interact with objects and move their bodies all as they learn the English language. The second, know and cater to your student learning styles. You probably know at least something about their major learning styles: visual, oral, and kinesthetic. All students tend to gravitate toward one of them. But the best teachers in the best classroom are aware of what type of instruction best benefit their students, and they are intentional about connecting with their style. When you consistently including activities for each of that learning style in your classroom, you will find that your students are more engaged, more interested. They participate and don't get distracted or distract others as much. This is the perfect formula for helping them learn and keeping your classroom environment conducive to learning. And the next, be over-prepared. The Boy Scout motto may be prepared, but the teacher of young students should be over-prepared. Their motto. Nothing is worse for keeping kids in a learning state of mind than their time in the classroom. It doesn't matter if it's their minutes or 30, a room full of students with nothing to do and no direction is a recipe for disaster. That's why the best teachers um, always have several activities ready to go at a moment's notice. It is rare that your planned activities will take exactly the amount of time that you anticipate, even for the most experienced teacher. That's when those ready-to-go activities are lifesavers. Plan to have 3 to 5 no prep activities ready to pull out of your back pocket at any point during the day to avoid that killer of concentration, that time. Okay, the next, encourage your students to be independent learners. Another way to ensure you don't have that time in your classroom is to offer students independent learning stations. Not only do they feel empty classroom time, they make students more accountable for their own learning, and that's another quality of well-managed and effective classroom. Students are independent learners. If you are familiar with learning stations, there are activities that are set up and available throughout your classroom that students can do on their own with little to no direction. You can have learning sessions on just about every aspect of language. You may allow students to choose freely among the offered sessions or require them to use certain sessions over a certain period of time. For example, use each session once in a 1 week period of time. Whatever you do, make sure students have the freedom to choose what they are doing. They will naturally gravitate to the areas they enjoy in language learning, but that's okay. There will be independent learners who are internally motivated to learn, and that makes them less dependent on your external motivation. It also makes them less dependent on the rewards you give, such as good grades, and gives themselves satisfaction in a job well done. And the next, keep in mind your student attention span. Did you know that in your children, their attention span in minutes is equal to their age in years? That means a 5-year-old child will have an attention span of around 5 minutes. Of course, there are exceptions to this, but this number tends to be more the rule than the exception. That means that the younger your students are, the more you need to change up the activities you do in class. To keep your kids interested, you will have to move from one activity to the next quickly and smoothly without the time between. This goes back to an earlier point of being over-prepared. It also stands as a reminder not to get frustrated with students when they lose interest in an activity you are doing in class, especially if it goes longer than they are able to concentrate. You cannot expect from children what you can expect from adults when it comes to staying focused on an activity. And the last, repeat activities. Sometimes when repeat activities in class, you feel like I'm cheating. Like my student cannot possibly find value in an activity we have already done in class. But then those children like repetition. In fact, they find security in it. That's why they like to watch the same movie and television show over and over, and why so many families have worn out their Frozen soundtrack. Kids like to do things they have done before, so you should don't be hesitant about doing an activity in class that you have done last week or even yesterday. Your kids will love it. Your kids will love it. Not only that, but they may also learn more and complete that activity more successfully because they are familiar with the direction and the material. Okay? According Classroom Management Tips, this is a routines or activities for young learners. Talking point about routines for young learners. The first, children feel more secure if you have set routines that are used in every class. Make the routines fun and developmentally appropriate. Always use routines as a way to practice more language. And remember that routines are contextually set and a good opportunity to use the language in a meaningful context. The next, routines to start the class, routine to the end class, and the teacher can give a student a brain breaks. Brain breaks are activities that are designed to change the mood of the class. For example, energizing brain breaks. Your student may need to be energized after sitting and working hard on an exercise. For example, check it out. Let your student in a TPR activity that will help them check out their hands and arms. Student, put your pencil down. Stand up, check out your hands. 1, 2, 3, shake your hands about your head. 1, 2, 3, shake your hands about the legs. Shake your hand to lift, and etc. 1 minute dance party. You can play a song to the leg and have a 1 minute dance party and frizzy dance. Okay, that's all about our presentation. If there were mistakes, we apologize, and I'm pushing with Paramasanti. Om Santi Santi Santi. Thank you for your attention.